welcome to another edition of the Team Daddy Weekly Recap. I am your host, Shapiro the Hero, aka the Hebrew Hammer. This week we saw 3 different teams lock up a playoff spot, a twin emerge victorious in a sibling battle royale, and another team looking absolutely stupid after their performance this week. We'll look at everything over the next few minutes, but first, a word from our sponsor. This week's recap is brought to you by Golden Potato Pancakes. If you want frozen latkes, you want golden latkes. But as the only Jew in this league, I doubt anybody else cares. Either way, happy Hanukkah to you all. Let's kick off our recap with the second installment of the Riyadika Bowl. In what promised to be a close game between two teams with even records, Josh showed why he is the better twin after defeating Jed 181.4 to 144.5. Matt Stafford and Jalen Waddle led the way for Josh, scoring 41 and 33.7 points respectively. Stephon Diggs and Javonte Williams also scored 20 points each as Josh gets back to 500 with the win. Fantasy phenom Cordero Patterson scored 32.5 points for Jed, and kicker Nick Folk added in another 20, but sadly, it was not enough, as Jed loses to his brother for the second time this year. The ugly twin falls to 5-7 on the season and will play George in Week 13, while Josh, the good-looking one, will face top-ranked Armenti. Speaking of Armenti, although he was one of the first teams to clinch a playoff spot in his first year with the Team Daddy League, he did lose to George, which is not what you want to hear. Our resident pastor knocked off the top seed this week, 142.75 to 127.45. J.D. McKissick's 22.6 points on Monday night were enough to put George over the top and get him his 5th win of the season. George also got 22.5 points from Darnell Mooney and another 36 from Dak to lead all scorers on his team. Armenti did get a big game from Aaron Rodgers and another 20 points from Deebo Samuel before his exit. And if Samuel's out for an extended period of time, Armenti's first run in the Team Daddy League may be a short one. At 8-4, Armenti will face Josh in Week 13, while 5-7 George will take on Jed. Another team clinching a playoff spot this week was Kyle, as he takes care of PJ 175.35 to 103.45. In a shocking turn of events, PJ actually had the highest scoring kicker this week, not Kyle, as PJ's captain Daniel Carlson recorded 31.5 points. Unfortunately for the commish, that would represent the bulk of the points he would get this week. Outside of Carlson, quarterback Justin Herbert, and tight end Dalton Schultz, no other player on PJ's team scored more than 7.5 points. It's really not good, my friend. Kyle, on the other hand, he got production from nearly everyone in his lineup. Led by Joe Mixon's 37.3 points, Kyle locked up a playoff spot in his first season back with the Team Daddy League. Now 8-4, Kyle will face his older brother in the matchup of the week next week. 2-10, PJ has all but secured last place this year and will face Brett in Week 13. We're going to hold off on embarrassing Brett for a few minutes. Let's take a look at our third team to clinch a playoff spot this week, Zach. He locks up a postseason berth with a 155.25 to 129.83 win over Cheese. Zach led going into Monday Night Football, and Russell Wilson's 26 points cemented the win for the Big Dogs. Zach also got 20.6 points from Michael Gallup, 19.2 from Josh Jacobs, and even 19 points from the Patriots' Date. Cheese got 22.4 points from Cedric Wilson, and another 19 from Jarvis Landry, but it was not enough as Cheese falls to 6-6 and drops out of a playoff spot and into limbo in 8th. Zach improves to 8-4 with the win and moves into a 3-way tie for first. He and I will square off next week, while Cheese will take on Big John. As for our gentle giant, he learned the hard way that you don't mess with a Jew on Hanukkah, as I defeated Big John 151 to 124.75. This is my second win over Big John this year, and 4th straight going back to last year. Thanks to this week's highest scoring player, Leonard Fournette, I was able to get the win and improve to 7-5, all but locking up a playoff spot for myself. I also got big games this week from my keepers, Adam Thielen and Austin Eckler. Big John did get solid games from both sides of the Bengals, as Joe Burrow and the Cincy D each scored 20 points, but it was no match for my Maccabee Magic. John falls to 4-8 with the loss, and will take on Cheese next week, while I will face Zach. And now, my friends, it is time to make Brett look stupid. Only a week after beating Swans to win the league survivor pool, Brett managed to not only lose to Swans by the largest deficit of the week, but he also scored the lowest points of the week. Anyway, Swans beats Brett 190.05 to 90.05. Brett, you lost by a full 100 points. Hell, even PJ scored more points than your team lost by. There's no way around this, man. You got your ass handed to you. You honestly should let Connor start your lineup next week. You might score more points. Outside of Antonio Gibson and Tyler Lockett on Monday night, no one on Brett's team even hit double digits. Swans, on the other hand, well, he just completely crapped all over Brett. Josh Allen and Elijah Mitchell each outscored everybody on Brett's team. Even the Dolphins' D put up a big number for the defending champ. Swans gets back to 500 with the win as he gets ready for a matchup with his younger brother. Brett is now 7-5, but he should get back in the win column next week against PJ. Of course, the key word there is should, because as we all know, anything can happen. Here are the standings after Week 12. Armenti maintains the top spot, but is now in a three-way tie with Kyle and Zach. I jump over Brett into 4th place as the OG Daddy falls to 5th. Josh and Swans round out the playoff teams, with Cheese also at 6-6, but on the outside looking in. Jed sits in 9th, and George is in 10th, but both teams are still alive in the playoff hunt. Big John is in 11th, one loss away from being eliminated, while PJ maintains his place in the cellar. With just 2 weeks left in the regular season, wins have never been more important. Playoff teams are separated by less than 100 points scored, and every roster choice matters. Keep setting your lineups and choose your captains wisely. Weekly winners are still being counted too, so even if you're not a playoff team, you can still win some money. And I'll have an update on the weekly recap winners next week. And once more, a happy Hanukkah to all of you, even though none of you probably give a shit, except for you, Steve. This has been your weekly recap. I am the Hebrew Hammer, and I will see you next time. L'chaim, motherfuckers!